Firefighting in Canada this week is brought to you by VFIS of Canada, a division of CVIS Incorporated, Canada's largest insurer of firefighters. In this edition, the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs releases their fire census survey results. Then, Saskatchewan is launching a new program to aid those dealing with addiction. And Vancouver's fire chief is asking City Council to increase next year's budget to $6.9 million. A new survey released by the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs outlines some of the realities Canada's 3,200 fire departments are facing. Diminishing number of career and volunteer firefighters, increased emergency call volumes, mounting and training equipment costs, and the reclassification of firefighting into the top tier of carcinogenic professions are all challenging Canada's fire, all-hazard, and emergency response capacity. The survey found that in 2016, there were a reported 156,000 firefighters, whereas in 2020, this number fell to 126,000. Of this, 90,000 are volunteers. Of the 2 million calls responded to over a 12-month period, 50% were for medical emergencies, 30% for all-hazards response, 10% for climate emergencies, and only 10% for fire suppression. 41% of Canada's fire departments have had to defer training and new equipment for more than 2 years due to fiscal pressures. Of the $5.6 billion in fire department expenditures, only 15% is attributed to the more than 2,000 fire departments that are volunteer. The Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs presented the federal government recommendations in 3 key areas: protecting and retaining Canada's supply of firefighters and response capacity, reducing community risk, and improving the government's ability to address these problems. A new pilot program is creating teams of counselors and paramedics to reach out to people suffering from addiction in Saskatchewan's 2 largest cities, CBC News reports. Overdose outreach teams will be made up of a mental health and addictions counselor from the Saskatchewan Health Authority and a primary care paramedic from the fire departments in Regina and Saskatoon. These teams will work to connect people who have recently overdosed with mental health and addictions programs and services, the province reported last week. The outreach teams are part of a pilot project that will run until May 15th. Vancouver Fire Chief Karen Fry will ask City Council to allocate $6.9 million in next year's budget to hire 55 firefighters, Canada Today reported. The request is based on an operational audit of Vancouver Fire Rescue Services a few years ago by independent consultant Dark Horse Analytics, which recommended an increase of 100 firefighters and 22 staff between 2019 and 2023. Last year, City Council allocated $3.1 million for the fire department to hire 25 new firefighters, who are expected to be stationed at the city's underserved southeast quadrant. On average, there were 19 overdose calls per day. As of the week of November 21st, firefighters have administered naloxone 777 times this year. Canada Today reported that Fry's request was not included in a draft budget presented to Council earlier in November, but she will make it official in a presentation in the new year. Thanks again to VFIS of Canada, a division of CVIS Incorporated, Canada's largest insurer of firefighters. Stay tuned for a final episode and year-end wrap-up of 2022 on Friday, December 23rd.